Today, my guest is Vinney Chopra. He's a returning guest. He's a successful multifamily syndicator. He's raised over $70 million and has done over 26 successful multifamily syndications. And we're going to dive into another of the chapters in multifamily real estate investing. Today, our topic's asset management. But first, a quick reminder, if you like our show, CREPN Radio, we would love to hear from you. I want to remind you, you can like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd leave a comment, we would love to hear from you. Also, want to remind you that if you'd like to see how handsome our guests are, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. That's Commercial Real Estate Pro Network. With that, I want to welcome back my guest, Vinney Chopra. Vinney, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Darren. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be with you all these times we've been together, and I appreciate that.
No, I've enjoyed it, and I'm certain the listeners will get a lot out of today's topic as well. Vinney, we've done this. I don't know how many times now. In fact, I was going to tell the listeners, instead of going back through your whole who you are and all that, I want to invite them to check out. We've got. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 different, or actually 7 different. Could be even more, like 8 different interviews we've done, and with specific topics. And if they are interested in any of those, I'm looking at, we talked about why multifamily syndication, building your syndication team, how to attract capital, and communicating with investors, multifamily underwriting, letter of intent, purchase and sale agreement, and so there's a lot there, and all of the links are in the show notes, and I invite them to go check out those for any background there. But if you would just take a quick second and just share a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into our topic today.
I would love to. Thank you so much, Darren. Actually, I'm Vinney Chopra. I came from India about 40 years back with $7 in my pocket, and really excited that I became from an engineer to a consultant, a salesperson, a broker, and then I've been investing in single-family homes for over 35 years, and now in multifamily for over 12 years or so. And it's been tremendous to go from 0 investor to 130 investors who are able to bring the money for syndication of apartments. And at the peak, we had almost 3,500 units. We have sold some, we are buying some, and I'm in my 27th syndication right now, with $50 million raise in the 506C, which is the one where we can advertise, offering and all that. And we do all the property management. That's what we're going to talk about today, Moneil Management Group, because we own Moneil Investment Group in acquisitions, and then Moneil Management Group in property management, asset management.
Got it. So let's just dive in today if we can.
Sure.
In all of the episodes up until today, we've talked about, like we said, the underwriting and finding the deal, creating the team, raising the money, and basically everything. In fact, I think the last one we talked about was at the sale of the property. But the one that we haven't really dived into yet, and this is a kind of another deep dive into that, is the actual operation and the management and the asset management of syndication. And you are a little unique in your setup in that you guys both operate or you do the property management as well as the asset management. And maybe just so the listeners are clear on the differentiation between property management and asset management, maybe we should start there and then talk about it from like pre-acquisition all the way through disposition, or however you want to take it. Does that sound good?
Oh, sure, Darren, totally. I would say to all the audience, again, the big part in syndicator's life is getting the right property, do the deal analysis, due diligence, get the loan. Now the property is ready to close. So a big picture after that is the property management company. A lot of investors have to go to a third party and get them involved, because the local property management company or national will be able to work with them to take care of their property. take care of their personnel, take care of their lead maintenance, the work orders, and all the collections and everything. In our case, Moneil and my other company, Ideal Investment and Ideal Management, we just had for 1.5 years, I think we had the very nice company to do for us. But then we found out it's better to do it ourselves. And we have never looked back. And that was the best decision ever we made, because we are on loan, on the notes and loans of millions of dollars to give our fortune, in the hands of third party, which may do well, may not do well. It's very crucial. So asset management fee, some of the syndicators charge maybe like 1% asset management fee. That is because they want to manage the managers, we call it. So in other words, they will hire a third party company that will charge 3.5% or 4%, depending on the unit size, of the total rent collection every month to manage that property, manage that community. We never say property. It's like Moneil communities, Moneil multifamily, Moneil premier communities. That's what we use in our websites and all. So the thing is, there has to be that 3.5% or 4% management fee that the property management company is going to charge. If it's smaller number of units, Darren, it might be as high as 6%, 7%, 8% also, for smaller number of units, because it's so much involved on a daily basis to really bring about the results, So in our case, we have a contract between the property management company, which is, I'm the CEO of that, and we have about close to 67 people, we could say 67 team members in that part of our company. And then in my acquisition side, we have about 5 at the most. We don't need that many in the acquisition side, because you just do underwriting and this and the broker's relationships and the loan qualification and everything. Now you got the property. The bigger part of the puzzle is the management, which we are talking about today. So as a manager, I sign on the contract from the property manager as a vendor and sign as an owner manager of the LLC that we are managing it. So it's a property management contract in place between the LLC of the property and my LLC, which is the management company like this one, Moneil Management Group.
Got it. So maybe we should just kind of review some of what property management, what all is entailed in property management. Obviously, we talked about collection of the rents and how they get paid, but what in that a month to month basis, what are some things that you expect or that are involved that maybe the listeners aren't fully thinking of?
Sure, Darren. The biggest part in the whole apartment building or any commercial building, of course, is the rent collection. That's the number one. And rent collections are also tied to the leasing. So the leasing has to be done, of course, in office space or other industrial. Leases are like 5 years or 15 years or renewal leases. But in multifamily, as you know, some of the residents might only live there for 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. So we go for 6, 9, and 13-month leases in our company. That is a better way. And we give them special incentive to do 12, 13 months. Then they are tied in with the lease at that community. If they break the lease, they have to pay a fine. That's how we do it, which is how it should be. So leasing 101, I would say, is number one. That's where we have the community manager. We never say property manager. In our company, we say community manager is the leader at that 100 units, 150, 200 units. One community manager is the leader, and she or he should have 15 to 20 years of experience in property managers, in management, because I don't like to hire very young people. I want savvy people, pay them a little bit more so that they can really bring value to my communities. And they bring their knowledge, their skills, and all that. Then we have the lead maintenance, who reports to the property community manager, right? Their lead maintenance, we call it, supervisor or lead tech. Then we have assistant community manager or leasing agent, we call it. So assistant community manager is actually learning to be community manager. We train them, and they are also at least about 7 to 15 years of experience in leasing and being an assistant manager or things like that. Then we have the fourth team member in that community, which is a porter, Porter, or a helper who is helping the lead technician, tech guy. So there are 4 team members at every community we own. That's how they are. And then the fifth one could be make ready person or punch person, we call it. And many times we invite people from outside contractors who may charge us $150, $175 to make the unit ready for the resident to move in, you know?
Gotcha.
So what we are doing on a daily basis and weekly, I should say, not daily, weekly basis, we hold meetings with our community managers and the leasing consultants or ACM on Zoom calls in our case, because we are in California, they're in Texas, they're in Georgia, there are other places. We always do Zoom, and I love to purchase the top-notch laptops, computers, no laptop, all computers, big screens, good furniture, good everything for the new communities. I allocate money towards that. So that way, everybody has to be in the video. It's almost like we are in that same room, you know?
Right. That's great. So you set up the communication there with the equipment.
Yes.
Make it nice. And then do you have a regular weekly day and time that you do that?
Exactly. They know it exactly, Darren. And we used to do in my previous company, we had like 5 different reports that the community managers and the leasing consultants had to prepare about we call it Monday morning reports, MMR, many times we call it. We don't do it on Monday. We want them to come on Monday, get immersed, and make sure everything is done properly on those reports. We start meeting with our team members Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at certain time for 1 hour. Every week we meet for 1 hour. Of course, they can reach back to our leader anytime. They are always available. The supervisor or leaders are always available for them to reach back. They could reach accounting department anytime, things like that. But what we find is that my daughter got more involved lately, and she is very good organizer. So she has combined all these different reports into one document. I'm so proud of her. And it's a Google Sheet, by the way. So everything is in real time, which is exciting for me to see that, because as soon as they fill it in over there at the community, we are able to look at it at the same time.
Oh, that's awesome. Can you take us through some of the things that you talk about in one of your weekly meetings?
Oh, totally. It's got everything right from the collections of the, rental incomes to the RUPS, which is the utility bill back, all the reoccurring charges. Then it's got the delinquency, a whole tab filled with delinquency, and that goes down and down and down every week. So we have all these residents who have not paid by the 4th. They go on the delinquent. Rent is due on the 1st. It's late on the 4th. We never collect cash ever. It's always through checks or money orders. And then or ePay. They could go on ePay on the website and just pay right through their checking account, or they can have cards. We have Walmart cards, other cards, we give them debit cards. They could go to Walmart and pay the rent. It's amazing. It's so wonderful. And then we have scanners at every property. They are connected to the bank accounts of that community, so that as soon as the checks are there that day, our leaders have never left their office. They don't have to go to bank and go here, there, carry the cash, anything, never, ever. So always for 11, 12 years, we've been using these scanners. So in real time, the money goes from the property into the bank account, into the accounting.
Got it. Got it. So in your weekly meeting, you talk about collections, rubs, delinquencies. Do you talk about any kind of?
Oh, lot more stuff,
Okay.
lot more stuff. We have one tab for projects, one tab. These are the capital improvements projects. So we have complete rendition of who is taking responsibility, how many bids have come, what are the companies, all that, right? And when we approve everything over $500, they have to be approved by me or my daughter or supervisors like that. And then we also do, I'm trying to see, yeah, the project. The other one will be to-do list. What's on the agenda? What are the top priorities? So we have that one tab. Then we go into renovation schedules. If we are doing a property renovations, we put down each unit, what they need, how much it's going to cost, so that we have a whole budget line there. Then we have the budget Excel right there, the whole budget, and look at it monthly variations. We look at monthly actually. We don't look at weekly. And then we also have the term sheet, the price term sheet. That is the price that people are paying when they come to that community. One bedroom is this much, two bedroom is this much, three bedroom. And we have beautiful, beautiful flyers. Oh, I wish I could show you what we have designed. We have people in Philippines, graphic artists that have been working with my company, and they have developed so beautiful flyers for each community. So we standardize all that with beautiful pictures, and we got referral cards, we got the flyers for the property and all that. Lots of stuff we have designed. What to leave after we make a attempt. Lead maintenance goes and into the community, into the unit, and then they leave a beautiful card there. So we can talk a lot about marketing, but what else is there at that sheet? Everything you need to know about that community is right in there in that Google sheet.
That one sheet. You mentioned renovations. Is that like turning units, or is that larger projects?
Okay, good point. What we try to do is that we want to know every unit, what's happening to that unit. If it's 150 and we are occupied 125, 25 units, we need to prioritize what needs to be done, and we do estimation of how much it will need to turn over, we call it, right? Many of them can be turned over with the office, our own staff. But if we need some contractors to come outside, we prioritize them. And then we try to get 3 bids, always 3 bids, so that we can write down which company is giving us the bids, and then we approve them. So those are the renovation schedules. But I did buy some properties where I spent like 700,000, 800,000, over $1 million, million and a half. So in those cases, we have more extensive worksheets that we do it by the deadlines through renovations, not the interior only, but also we have the exterior, the pavements, the residence center, the tennis courts, all these grounds, the paneling, the foundation, the plumbing, all those in different categories.
And for those, the property management handles that with I guess the conversation, the management of the contractor,
Yes.
or do you
Yes.
as an asset manager get involved in that?
Asset manager gets involved. Thank you so much. Yes, the team leader and asset manager and our office, myself and my daughter Monica gets involved, and accounting gets involved. So when we do our Zoom meetings, by the way, we have sometimes six people right there, and everybody's on the same page because we're talking about that community at that moment. And if they have a question, our senior accounts payable manager is there, my VP of finance is there, my team leader, supervisor is there, community manager is there, assistant manager is there, Monica is there. So we are all on one page,
No, that's awesome. So the weekly meetings, you have the day, the time, you kind of go through the list.
Yep.
What is I guess, when you were doing it before, when you had third-party management, can you compare and contrast what you experienced before you became the manager?
That's a good point, Darren. What happened was, see, you got to feel one thing. If you're giving $3,000 to a property management company in a month, or $4,000 in a month, how much is it per day? It's only $100 a day, right? Or $125 a day. How much time can they really, really spend in looking through and really giving you the very best of that community? Probably not. They're going to rely a lot more on the manager there and the lead maintenance there. The things don't come to the surface that quickly. I mean, the syndicator or the group who has contracted third party, they have to be watchdogs to look at, to find when the occupancy starts dipping down. It takes about a month or so to find out if they're meeting with them only once a month, right? A lot of these property management companies don't meet with you every week. They probably
Right.
don't. They
Right.
might meet every 2 weeks or a month. We used to meet after a month. They were spending our money like anything. And at the end of the month, we said, oh my gosh, what happened? And then it was accrual and actual together. That was a big mess because they said, oh, we still have some bills to pay. So they won't give us all the money that was the cash left. They'll keep another 10,000 or something. So it was a big thing. But things are not that bad if you are on top of it. You got to really be knowledgeable. Three things are very important in property management. Number one, collection of rents. Delinquency should be down. Concessions should be very low if there are any. Bad debts should be very low. That's on the collection side. Secondly, we need to be talking about the residents who have given notices to vacate. So we need to be working 90 days in advance to ask the residents if their changing of job is coming, if they're moving out, if they're buying a home, things like that. So 90 days, so important for us to start looking at that particular unit and try to show them different ways how we could keep them, if they have some grievance or anything, or we could give them some special incentive, we call it, right? Could be the whole deep cleaning of the whole thing, or giving them some special gadget or fix something, or I'm thinking about looking at the fans and lights and all. Yeah, different things, right? That's the second thing. We want to retain clients, retain residents. That's the number two. Collecting rents, keeping the occupancy up, making sure the delinquency is down and the collections are at par or increasing. Second thing is retention, right? The third aspect, which is very, very big aspect, is the servicing part of it. How are the work orders coming in? How soon are we dealing with the work orders? Do we have to order some parts? How soon the parts are coming in? Do we have the right personnel in the service department? The lead technician, are they certified? Do they know their job? Are they able to take care of the pool, or we have outside company? So that is the other part. Physical building part and also the work orders is very, very important. In a property, the curb appeal, the landscaper, are they doing good job? Do we need to change them? Do we need to give instructions to them? So all the physical nature, the plumbing issues, if a lot of things are happening in one building, how can we mitigate that? How can we be proactive? So that's the third part, which really affects the retention, by the way. If the work orders are not done properly and it's taking too long time, residents can be very, very angry, and then they will write reviews and things like that.
Yeah, no, and then you get a whole nother challenge on your hand, right? So no, that's great.
Totally.
Um, okay, so basically I mean, you spelled out the 1, 2, 3, as far as the importance of rent, retention, and servicing, which they're all directly correlated. I mean, you mentioned that retention and servicing is very
Yes.
correlated. Um, so let's talk a little bit, or tell me if there's other things we should talk about. But I think what we've talked about here is what the property manager does, property management does. And if I gather, I mean, primarily the asset manager in these Zoom meetings, you as the leader of these meetings are you acting as an asset manager at that point because you're engaging
Very
your
good
property
point.
manager?
Very good point. I'm weaving off. I'm totally weaving off. I'm just there. And then my asset manager and Monica, who is our like counsel to CEO now, and also the marketing director, they take over the meeting. I'm just kind of listening in, and they are holding the meetings, and I interject if I need to, but mostly they are doing the job.
Got it. So does the asset manager then primarily lead the meeting? Is that what I
Yeah,
gather?
yeah.
They
Uh-huh.
kind of,
Asset manager and Monica, both of them. Yes.
okay. And so is an asset manager managing um, the property, or the property manager managing the managers kind of thing? Does the asset manager also have any kind of a responsibility back to the ownership, the syndication, or the
No,
investors? No.
no,
Okay.
no, zero,
Okay.
zero. See, the thing is, we need to separate those out because the thing is, it's pretty big job for the asset manager or team leader because all these community managers are reporting to her, kind of, even though they are reporting directly to us on the top management, but asset management is right about there. So it's very important that we don't get them involved on the syndication side at all.
Got
The
it.
investors, they don't know who the investors are. Of course, if some investor visits the property, they'll be able to meet them and show them around and the model units and things like that. Of course, when we dispose the property, now we talk about, we bought the property. Let me also take you there because, see, we got to be prepared coming the day of closing when the keys are handed to you. It's your baby. It's your
Yeah.
baby. I mean, you need to prepare a month in advance. I'm telling you, 1 month in advance to be ready with a team to interview the current staff after you get the blessings from the seller. If they're going to take them away into their other properties, you can interview them. But then you want to start putting the advertisements in that neighborhood and look for the whole crew, all 4 people need to be hired by you and trained by you, with your standards and everything, and be ready that day to take over the property because once they leave, they leave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's and you don't want to have vacancies at those positions. You want to
Exactly,
be ready to
and
go.
that's a big part. So we start a month before the proper closing day, and have all these done. And then we look at what contracts we have to carry on. Utilities have to be turned into our names, the water, the sewer, I mean, all these things. And the deposits have to be ready in check form from the accounting so that the day we take over, we got to make sure that the residents don't get water cut off. I've seen horrendous, reports where electricity got turned off or the hot water heater. Now it's all cold water all over.
Right, right.
So
So
that's big. And then, of course, we have a whole week right after we take over. Oh, before that, even by the way, getting the Excel of the rent roll from the seller at the closing, very close to the closing, so that we can import that into our property management software. That's a huge transition. So we use the Rent Manager, by the way, Rent Manager 2.0, I think, something it's called. Very beautiful program. There are a lot of different ones, but One Site, Yardi, and Real Page, I used to use them. They're very expensive. And, we were just losing $17,000 to one property, by the way, to just give it to them for online software. Now I can do it for $50 per license. That's like $100 a month times 12, $1,200. So
wow.
$7,000 and $1,200. I
Well,
let them go.
yeah, you don't have to be a math major to figure that out. That's pretty good. So, all right. So you talk about this turnover thing, and I think that's definitely a point to reiterate there, just that the
Yes.
the the setup. I mean, you have to interview, hire the team,
Hmm.
get everybody on page, and then the conversation you're having with all of the accounts, whether it be the water, the electric,
Hmm.
lawn,
Sure.
whatever, sewer,
Landscaper.
whatever, yeah, whatever that is. So,
Laundry, contract,
yep,
if there are some equipments in the office, copy machines and things
right.
like that, they have to be, updated. Yep, yep. Uh-huh.
Yep. Otherwise, yeah, I've run into that where everybody assumed that you could continue with the old accounts and they want new account numbers and all that stuff. So,
Yes, yes.
uh, good there.
Mhm.
Um, so we've done the transition, which is the upfront. We've talked about the operation with the weekly and the kind of the
Yes.
monthly meetings and the laundry list of things you do.
Hmm.
Is there a a transition if you're on the selling side, since you've just gone through the sale of a property recently? Is there a
Totally. I would love to share that. Of course, when we are ready to now sell after 3 years, 4 years, like I just sold Sienna Villa, bought for 3.550. We did renovations and built the 16 units. And then now we sold it for 8.55, something like that. Pretty huge return. But to prepare the property before the sale, it takes quite a bit effort on the asset manager, team leader part and the community manager, because you got to make sure your rents are not declining, total collections. Once we get it under, first we have to prepare it with the operating memorandums and everything. So we have to have tours from the broker that I list. I ask them to give me BPO's brokers price opinion of the top multifamily brokers in that community. And then I look at, okay, what price range they are looking at. Some come lower. Just to let you know, it's amazing. I mean, I sold that property for 8.550. Some of the brokers gave me broker's price opinion of 7.75 or 8 million. And it's amazing how they look at your numbers and they come up with this idea, and then somebody else can get you higher amount, and we were able to sell at the higher amount. So they start coming and taking pictures and all that, of course. But then the open houses are ready now. Once the OM gets done, now they have to put the balloons all over and marketing pieces, everything ready. So the asset manager is there, still team leader, so that they could take the coming investors to this whole path, taking them to the laundry facility and showing the property, and then taking him to the model units and all that happens. The other part is that many times now investors want to have their own private tours, so they are to get involved. Now let's say we found the right buyer. Okay, now there is a slew of things that's going to happen, because now the inspectors are going to come, contractors are going to come, the appraisers are going to come, the environmental people are going to come, property inspection people are going to, a lot of people, a lot of commotion goes on for almost 2 months. 2 months.
wow? Okay.
So it's not easy. It's not easy. But the thing is, once you have your own company, you can arrange everything quickly through proper communication. And we love that, you know. And then we come now towards closing. We got only 2 weeks left. Now we have got the loan approval. Now the buyer is looking for seeing the vacant units. They don't want to see the property deteriorate in 90 days or 120 days. So as a owner, I mean, I always give my very best, to keep running the property till the day we give the community the keys. And that's the right attitude, because I want other people to do the same for me when I purchase. So we spend money like crazy. I don't care. Like if we need a air conditioning boiler, I should spend $14,000. I could have fixed the boiler for something and then let it go and then have it, the buyers, whatever. But I didn't do that. No, we got the brand new boiler, put it in there. We did something with the AC units, this and that. I'd run it just like I'm running it, for myself. So that's a huge part there, Darren, because the rent collections cannot go down.
Right. You want the other direction, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's
disposition is also very big thing, Successfully, I just closed in 1 month, 2 sales, one for 8.77, one for 12 million 77, something like that. So like $22 million worth around there. So I gave back my investors almost $12 million,
wow.
because majority of that money was the equity, right? And so forth. And the gain, equity gain. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's thanks for taking us through that.
Sure.
Um, so I'm just looking down my list and my kind of thoughts as far as property management and asset management. Have
Yes.
we kind of gone from the beginning to the end? I do want to also touch on before I forget your branding of your company and kind
Yes.
of getting all of your team on the same
Yes.
logo,
Yes.
gear, and all that kind of stuff. Where it's
Totally.
yeah.
Totally.
Talk about
Surely, Derek.
talk about that and the importance of that and putting that name in front of your residents and community
Sure.
members.
Sure, Darren. The biggest thing I find is that the professionalism carries a lot of weight. When the residents see that you are very professional in the office, you're very professional with the beautiful clothing. We have different color clothing we provide. Moneil Management Group provides our tech people and our porters and everybody with the shorts in the summer, and all that, and the t-shirts and nice things, all that, because that executes professionalism. And then also people know that they can let them in. See, that's the other thing. If they're wearing regular clothes with no IDs, no nothing like that, it's not that good. In the office also, we have different costs. We pay for them, and then they just have to launder them. That's how we do it. And then they are different colors and very professional with the name plates, brass plates, all that, very professional. So that's one part in the dressing up. The other part is how their demeanor is. So we do a lot of trainings within our company, like at every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Time, we have set up reoccurring Zoom meetings, mandatory meetings for our leasing consultants, ACMs, and lead community managers to be all there, every single one. And we take the very best practices of certain communities, have them teach the other, or we also buy outside courses, to teach them. So we do it Monday as they're coming into for their personal growth and really excited and all, and then Friday as they leave. So
Oh,
we
good.
do it
So
twice.
bookend that. Keep them motivated and
Yes,
trained. That's
yes.
good.
You know,
Uh, that it always seems like a cost in the front end, but the back end, the output, you get a lot of benefit from having a well trained staff, right? And that's
totally. Morale is up. I
yeah.
send also quotations, positive news. A lot of my team members really appreciate that. They reply back every night. I just send them a little quote and things, which really brightens their day, things like that. And I
Awesome.
would love to talk a little bit more. A very big part of the whole property management, community management is the curb appeal.
Oh
It's
yeah.
how the resident center looks like, how the curing machine is filled with K-cups and the cookies are there, and small details which go a long way. Media center, making sure that the computers are working, the big all-in-one I buy 27-inch screens, they're all working and all those things, and the refrigerators are stocked up, for the people coming into the office, for looking into, we show them the refrigerator, they take one gift from the refrigerator, in the sample, in the open house, in the model home. That's how we do it. We don't keep it empty. We put candies and things and sodas, all that. So when we show them the model, we open the fridge, they get to pick up something,
Oh,
and
that's
then
great.
we do different things on the week, monthly. All different newsletters go out. We do some activities, we do some breakfast, we do some barbecues. We also do like the breakfast on the run, we call it, on Friday morning, like donuts in a brown bag and things. So, having educational groups come to the communities. We put the dog parks, it's very simple things, but that really brings clout. But the thing is, see, I want to talk about advertising. Huge, huge, huge. See, a lot of times we need to make sure advertising is really working for you. The traffic is coming. If the property is on the main road, thorough road, I always buy. Well, every community I buy. I don't buy the slim flag poles. They bend with the wind and everything, and they don't really make a remarkable impression. I buy the 30 feet high, this big, literally this thick, poles. And I found a manufacturer right there in Georgia who was transporting them for me from Georgia to Texas. And I buy 4 of them for $700 some each. It's worth it. And then put the big flags, all kinds of different color, and USA flags and Texas flags, whatever. And then change the flags every quarter, every season.
Oh, there you go.
I believe in that. And the curb appeal is, and the lighting to the signage is very important at night and all that. The shrubbery, the color, all that. But let's go now to apartments.com. That is the service we use. We are told, and I think statistics prove that, if somebody's moving into a community, they're going to look for apartment, 2-bedroom apartment in Angleton, Texas, for example. You will see my communities pop up, number 1, number 2, right away. Albion and Arbor, because we have taught our leasing consultants that they need to tweak the back end of the apartments.com, tweak something, put something and change something to save it again. That's going to rise them from number 14 to number 1.
Gotcha. So knowing some of the secrets on how to operate the software there, huh?
Totally. And then, have the best pictures, everything. Make sure all the, whatever availability is there, it's already taken care of, because 81% of the community, renting community goes to Google. They just put down, and then apartments.com comes right there, and that is a wonderful way to advertise. And the best thing I like in this software, Darren, is that every call is recorded. Oh my gosh. So our asset managers, my daughter Monica, being in the top, and myself, we can listen to every call in real time on the back end, when the community manager picked up, what the resident was asking, how they were responding back, and we can train them, not to cut down, but we can train them. Oh my gosh, this call only lasted 30 seconds. That means that somebody called, and then we can see that same person calling again. That just tells us nobody picked up the phone. What happened?
So tell me, what's the software that you use for the phones then? Is that
okay, it's all combined. You get everything in apartments.com.
Oh, it's okay. Got it. Okay, gotcha.
It's all interconnected right there.
Gotcha.
I really love them. I mean, they are one best company, really.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
And then we have our own website, of course, for each property, where our residents can log in. They can put the requests for servicing. They can pay their, the rents and everything. E-pay, we call it. We also have brochures. By the way, the future residents all over USA, if they come to our website, they can print out a beautiful e-brochure right there, right in their fingertips, and then we promote our community, Moneil Management Group.com, which is the one which shows all the communities we own. And then we do the resident referral cards. We give 250, I think now, or 300. If one resident recommends another friend of theirs or family members, then we give them $250 or $300 at any community we own, any 12 of them in the neighborhood like that. So we do a lot of different beautiful brochures and cards and flyers that we have perfected over these years.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. No, definitely you got to get the word out. If you're doing all the good work and nobody knows, that's not gonna help there. So No, thanks for diving into that. I think the curb appeal is definitely doesn't always cost a lot, but the payoff is big there,
Huge,
and yeah, needs to be done.
huge, huge, huge.
Hey, Vinny, I want to shift gears here just real quick.
Totally.
As I shared with you a little bit before we started recording, I've started asking all of my guests kind of as a an insurance related thing, and I don't want to make it insurance related, but as an insurance broker, we focus on risk management. And
Hmm.
risk management is typically there's three different options to manage the risk. One is to avoid the risk,
Yep.
two is to minimize, and three is to uh, transfer the risk, and
Hmm.
that's usually done through insurance. I'm asking my guests to if they can think of and describe what they would consider their biggest risk. And I'm not necessarily looking for an insurance answer. I'm
Sure.
wondering if you could speak to what you see as one of the biggest risk you face, and then if you could describe how you guys go about managing that risk.
I would love to, Darren. I think in the apartments business, especially because we are dealing with so many residents and different lives of residents and their capability of paying rents and everything, the biggest risk I find is the occupancy going down. I mean, that is a huge factor because if the occupancy goes down by even 3% or 5% or 10%, that's going to cut the cash flow quite a lot amount at the bottom line because our fixed costs are the same. Our operation costs are about the same. You know, it's just that once the rents are lowered, oh my gosh, that hits the pocketbook. So I would say the biggest risk in apartments is the occupancy going down. Second risk I find is the delinquency. I mean, we need to hit it hard, right neck into it, and then make sure that we are finding why the residents are not paying. Why the delinquency is higher. We need to change that right away. We really do. Is it the criteria that we have of getting the residents to come in? Is it 2.5% of the rent is their income, or three times, which should be three times their income? Are we bringing any like risk fee, it's called in our language? Risk fee is where somebody's denied to come into your community, but they end up paying 300 extra money or 500 extra money risk fee to come into it. So those are really positive risks. The other risk I think is insurance related, which is like some resident tripping and falling from the staircase if we don't fix it properly, if it's slanted or something is not, or the walkways, the trip hazards. Have we painted them yellow, or have we grounded them to make them make sure uh, those kind of risks are there, and we try to protect them, of course, by taking care of them right away, first of all. And you can only do it if somebody is looking at that asset with outside eyes. See, the thing is, the property manager is so overwhelmed with everything.
Right, right.
you know and we just need to make sure that we are there to teach them and coach them and counsel them, and then make decisions fast. The biggest advantage, I think, by us managing our own assets is that we can act fast. We can decide quickly. We can change the course quickly rather than waiting for a month meeting when the problem has gravitated. The red flag small has become a big red flag now.
No, that's good. No, I appreciate you sharing that. That is something that everybody that gets into investing in real estate, the primary goal is to, make a return. And like you said, if your occupancy drops, that's not going to help. And
Yes.
the delinquencies, that's another thing you got to stay on top of it. And I think the other thing that you brought up there was the times rent income multiple of
Yes.
rent kind of thing. Because I think that if you're not aware of, or if you've never gauged that, and you go out and you compare a property that has a lower multiple as opposed to a higher multiple, if you've got a three times the rent versus a two times the rent, you're probably going to see your delinquencies. There's a difference there, right? Because of the disposable income and the
Totally.
ability to pay their expenses there. So that's
Totally.
great.
Totally. No,
Yeah.
I'm with you totally. I mean, those things are very, very important if we, make it simple. I like to make it simple being an engineer, logical and simple. The biggest thing is I tell my team whenever I do my, the motivation and vision and everything is that the NOI, the net operating income, is what they can take care of. They can take care of increasing the expenses, making sure we are getting the RUBS money, making sure we are getting the administration fee and all the miscellaneous fee. The laundries are working, laundry facilities. We are making sure we are getting the commissions from the Coin Mac and things like. Then we ask them to, they cannot take care of taxes, they cannot take care of insurance, and payroll is in my hand and our top management, what we are paying them, bonuses, benefits. But the things they can really help us are marketing costs, and then of course the contract cost, the maintenance, the expenses. And so those are the things which they can control. So that's what we know. We try to tell them, occupancy, we need to be 90-95. Our offices are closed on Saturdays only if the occupancy is over 95% or more. If it dips down, they have to open 6 days.
There you go. A little incentive
Yes, yes,
for a day off there if you can keep the occupancy up. That's great. That's
yes,
great.
yes, yes.
Hey, Vinny, I want to be sensitive to the time here.
Sure, sure.
And before we wrap this up, where can the listeners go if they'd like to connect and learn more?
Sure, sure, Darren. I mean, they could email me, Vinney, Vinney, at vinneychopra.com, which is Vinney Chopra, Chopra.com, which is my website. And if they would like to learn from me all these techniques of deal finding, syndication, and management, because I'm building a very huge academy now on property management, multifamily, management. And that is, they could just text the word learn, LEARN, just 4-letter word, LEARN, 5-letter, I think, to 474747. That's all they need to do. So learn, text the word learn, LEARN, to 474747.
Got it. Vinny, I've enjoyed it like always and
Thank
appreciate you taking the time to do this, and look forward to doing it again soon.
I would love that, Darren. I could really dig more deeper and, go into this whole aspect. It's the most expensive part of the business if you look at it, because if we do not really give the good returns to the investors, they are not going to like us. And the positive feelings we give by giving those great checks to the investors quarterly, that brings a lot more new investors, and they like to bring more money into the deals also.
Got it. Vinny, we will be in touch soon, I'm sure.
Sure.
And like I said, I want to say thanks. Thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Darren.
All right. For our listeners, if you like this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. That's all we've got this week. Until next time, thanks for listening to Commercial Real Estate Pro Network's CREPN Radio.